You know, sometimes the world gives you exactly 5 minutes to decide who you really are. 5 minutes. That's all it took for a guy in a cheap security outfit to slap my wife in the face, and for me, 32 years a U.S. Marshal, mostly retired, mostly harmless, to remind him what it feels like when karma comes calling in broad daylight. I'll set the scene for you so you see it how I saw it. Sunday in Oakwood Heights. Arizona sun baking down on desert lawns, retirees pulling weeds, a Harley that doesn't get out enough. I was hunched over the carburetor hands, black with oil, while my wife Linda, the toughest nurse you'll ever meet, hummed her way through a jungle of roses she loved more than most people. This neighborhood is the last stop for folks like us, teachers, nurses, cops, firefighters, people who earned their peace, didn't just luck into it. You can smell the quiet here. Or you could until a black Escalade with windows too dark for the HOA's own rules started showing up. I'm not a paranoid guy. 30 years chasing bad guys teaches you the difference between a shadow and a threat. But this Escalade, it parked 3 days in a row, engine running, never anyone getting out, always close enough that you felt watched, but not so close you could make out a face. I told Linda about it over eggs and coffee, thinking maybe it's nothing. She just smiled, told me not every stranger in a black car is up to something. She's got more faith in people than I do, which is why she still volunteers at the clinic twice a week, patching up folks who can't afford real health care. But the mail told me different. That day, half the block got official HOA violation notices, landscaping violations, fence too high, stuff no one had ever heard about. Only these papers were sloppy wrong fonts, typos, a phone number that led straight to nowhere. Patterson down the street nearly paid $800 to some security officer who wouldn't show ID, but sure as hell showed a badge, one of those you buy off the internet. He threatened legal action cash, only no checks, no delays. Said if she called her son, the offer would disappear and the fines would triple. I called the real HOA office. Margaret, our board president, didn't mince words. No security patrol, Alex, no house calls, no cash demands. We don't shake down retirees, we send letters, we review, we vote. This is a scam. Call the police. See, some scammers think they're wolves among sheep. They forget some sheep got old by outsmarting wolves. But the thing that got me this scam was organized. Real uniforms, fake badges, real threats targeted at retirees with assets and routines. People who don't want trouble, who grew up respecting a badge, who get scared when authority comes knocking. Tuesday, it got personal. I'm sorting wrenches in the garage, sun hot on the concrete, when I hear Linda's voice, not scared, not yet, just sharper than usual. I step out. There's this guy, tall, bad haircut, navy uniform that almost looks right, until you see the cheap badge and the fresh-sewn HOA patches thrusting a clipboard at my wife. "Ma'am, Officer Harris, HOA Security Division," he says, with the confidence of a man who's conned before. He blocks her path back to the house, big guy using his body to crowd her. Linda's no pushover. She stands her ground, takes the paperwork, reads it line by line, just like she'd check a medical chart. "I'll need to speak to my husband," she says, "and I'll be calling the HOA board before I pay anyone a dime." The guy's whole act drops. "Ma'am, this isn't a negotiation." He gets closer, voice tight, rehearsed. "Delaying payment brings extra penalties. You don't want that." I step between them, using the same tone I used 1,000 times when a situation was going south. "Let's see your ID. Give me a number to call your supervisor." He blusters, talks circles, gets sweaty. His badge is a joke, up close, cheap metal glued on numbers. I see him glance at our routine mentions when Linda walks the dog, what time our mail comes. He's been watching. He backs off, says he'll return with enforcement. As he walks away, I snap pictures of his badge, his face, his SUV. I call Margaret. "Not our guy," she says. "Never seen him. And now I know it's a con. A practiced one. And these cons, they only get bolder." Thursday. Harris returns. He's got muscle with him this time, a wiry guy named Tony and a heavyset one called Miguel. Their uniforms are sharper, their badges shinier, but the fear in their eyes isn't hard to spot. They block our driveway, block our door. Harris starts in on municipal code violations, legal jargon, threats of liens and lawsuits, this time for $200. It's all fake, but it sounds real if you don't know what to look for. Between his first visit and this, I did my homework. Ran his plates fake company, ran his name, Marcus Harris, is really Marcus Miller, a career scammer wanted in 2 states. I called a friend at the FBI agent Smith who tells me they've been tracking this outfit. They target retirement communities, get people to pay fake fines, and when someone can't pay, they scare them into selling their homes for pennies to an investment group. The same names, the same cars, 3 states wide. Real predators, not just some dumb kids trying their luck. Now Harris and his goons are getting aggressive. He starts making threats that aren't about money. Nice retirement you have here, he says, looking around. Shame if something happened to it. That's not just a scam, that's extortion. That's the moment I start documenting everything, cameras, voice recorders, files for the FBI. We're not just going to stop him. We're going to end this whole operation. The next Monday, I'm prepping evidence in the garage, photos, recordings, everything ready to hand over to Agent Smith. Linda's out front, hands in the dirt, not a care in the world, or so she thinks. The Escalade screeches up tires, chewing asphalt. Harris, Tony, and Miguel get out. No more pretending, no more negotiation. This is their last shot, and they know it. Harris tries the big play. This is your absolute final opportunity for voluntary compliance before enforcement action begins. He bellows loud enough for every neighbor to hear. Linda doesn't flinch. We're not paying frauds, she says, voice clear as crystal. Leave before you do something that puts you in federal prison. He loses it. Red-faced veins in his neck, he steps up and grabs her wrist. Respect my authority, he screams. Then he hits her. Open palm right across the face, the sound sharp enough to freeze the whole block, blood on her cheek. My wife crumpled in her roses. I don't remember thinking. 32 years of training just clicked. I grab my old baton, slip out the side door, come up behind Tony and Miguel. They're so focused on Linda, they don't even see me coming. Tony goes down with a crack to the ribs. Miguel catches my knee and folds. Harris turns just as I put him on the ground, arm twisted, cheek grinding into concrete. You're under citizen's arrest for assault and fraud, I tell him, voice flat. If you move, I break your arm. If you speak, I break your teeth. Linda's already called 911, her voice steady, even as blood trickles down her jaw. Neighbors gather, Mrs. Patterson crying, other retirees shaking, whispering, "Thank God." Harris and his guys beg offer to return the money, to disappear. Too late. Sirens roll in, cops cuff them, FBI arrives, and Harris starts spilling everything, names, banks, routes, how the scam works, how many neighborhoods they've hit. Turns out Harris and his boss, Pierce, ran 5 crews in 3 states. They stole nearly $3 million, tricked old folks out of their savings, out of their homes. Pierce bought up houses cheap, made a killing, and left devastation in his wake. Now, because Harris couldn't keep his hands to himself, the whole thing unravels. FBI sweeps through arrests, everyone freezes, the accounts gets the money back for as many as they can. Court was almost an afterthought. Harris took a plea, 5 years in federal full restitution testimony against Pierce. Pierce got 12 years, assets seized. Tony got probation. Miguel 2 years for repeat offenses. And me. The U.S. Marshals sent me a plaque. But the real reward was watching Linda heal the block. Feel safe again. The news call us a model for stopping scams. You know what stuck with me, though? Not the victory, not the headlines. It was when Harris showed up 2 years later, looking thin, looking like he finally figured out what life means. He thanked me not for beating him, but for stopping. "You showed me mercy," he said, and that changed me. Mercy, not revenge. Maybe that's the real lesson. It's not about how hard you hit back, it's about knowing when to stop. About protecting your own, but not losing your soul to anger. Our neighborhood's safer now. We have safety days. New folks get the whole story, how one bad day brought us together, made us tougher, more willing to watch each other's backs. Linda's volunteer work helps other seniors spot scams before they get burned. I remind folks retirement doesn't mean laying down your shield. Sometimes it means putting it on for the people who can't anymore. And that, my friend, is what real justice looks like. Not dramatic takedowns, but the promise that nobody gets left alone in the dark. Sometimes evil thinks it's the wolf, but it turns out it wandered into a neighborhood full of lions. So here's my question for you. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Is mercy ever the right call, or should justice always be an eye for an eye? Have you ever had to stand up for someone when nobody else would? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your story. Because out here, community is everything and every voice matters.